Hi, my name is Kathy Moyne, and we're here at Green Thumb Nursery in Lake Forest to talk about, if you can't guess, peppers. So we're going to start from the sweet to the like crazy, insanely hot. So let's get started. Since I got a lot of information, I want to get it going. All right, so we're going to start off with the bell peppers. At Green Thumb, we do carry a full range of the bell peppers. They are a 0 Scoville scale. Now, when I say Scoville units or Scoville scale, that is how the peppers are rated for heat. They usually use the jalapeno as their guideline, so it's sweeter than a jalapeno or it's 10 times hotter than a jalapeno. But the numbers will, as we get to the hotter ones, you'll see what I mean. As far as these ones over here on the end are like insanely hot, so I don't even know how people eat them. And kudos to those you who can. But the bell peppers have a 0 Scoville scale, so they are sweet. We carry the reds. These are one's an early red, one's a California red. We carry the golden, and they all kind of look the same, but my guy is going to give us some photos so we can see them. This one is just the regular old green bell pepper, and we also have the orange bell pepper. And then we have a chocolate pepper, and you can see it's actually got a pepper on it. Even in a small size like this, it's actually putting on a pepper. So that, and all these flowers are starting to set as well. So that's pretty cool. Now, I do eat the peppers, the bell peppers, and the red ones for me are the sweetest. I like to eat those and snack on them, but so are the orange and the yellow. I do like a combo stir fry with all of the different colors except for the green. Green is more for me, for putting in with soups and things like that. It's put in like your mirepoix when you're making different types of soups. So that's how I use it. I'm sure most of you, a lot of you can probably comment on how you use it, and we love those comments. Please keep them coming. Next one we have, this one is called a Carmen, and this one is a 0 on the Scoville scale as well. And this one is kind of cool because this one has a horn-shaped fruit, and it looks like a cow horn. And it is sweeter than the red bell pepper, which is kind of cool. And it's a smaller plant, so it only gets about 28 to 30 inches. So you can put it in a pot all by itself on your patio. It'd be great for a patio. Actually, this one's going to come home with me because I'm going to give it a try. I like the bell peppers, the red bell peppers, and I like sweet, so that's a good one for me. So the next one we're going to talk about is the sweet banana. And this one here is a yellow, 6 to 7 inches long, and it's 1.5 inches wide. And this one can be up to 500 on the Scoville scale. Now, what that means is when peppers are when they're ripening, most of them will start green, and then they'll go into a range of different colors. As they get older on the plant, they tend to get hotter if they have heat. So a banana pepper, if you leave it longer on your plant, is going to get some heat to it. Also, you can control the heat by taking the membrane, which is where the seeds are attached inside of the pepper, and the seeds out. The seeds and the membrane are where you have the most heat. So if you want to kind of tone down your hot peppers, you can remove the membrane and the seeds, and that will help. So banana peppers are yellow when they're ripe, so that's when you want to pick them. I guess you could leave them on and experiment. You know, you can always experiment with it. Just don't ruin your dish, you know. I've done that before, put too much heat in there and then you're sorry. Okay, I don't have a shishito with me today, but I do like the little shishito peppers. They're little green peppers, about the size of my thumb, and they're sweet, and they're good and they can have a little bit of heat. The shishito is said to be between 50 and 200. So as you see, when we get up to the habaneros, the jalapeno, you'll kind of see, oh yeah, that is pretty sweet for just 200 on the scale. And they're good for roasting. A lot of people have talked about roasting them. You can eat them fresh. You can just pop them in your mouth. You can dip them. They're not quite big enough to stuff, but I guess if you're adventurous, you could certainly stuff them. Then the next one we have is a pepperoncini. And those are the ones that you are, this is a Scoville unit of 100 to 500. And they start with a light green and then they ripen to a red. Now you can have, you'll see them when they're yellow. Generally they're picked when they're greenish yellow and they're used for pickling. So that's a good one. I'm sure you've seen them on your salad bars and things like that. So the really good pizza parlors have them, that kind of thing. Then we're going to go to the pimento. And pimentos, as you can see, look at the pretty flowers on that. The pimento is known as the chili pepper. And this one, the fruits are 3 to 4 inches long, 2 to 3 inches wide. And this is 100 to 500 on the Scoville scale. They use those they stuff olives with those pimentos, and that's what you find in your martinis if you're a martini fan. And you can also stuff these and put them pureed in cheese dip, dried and turned into paprika. That's another use for them. And you can also pickle them and eat them fresh. So next we have the Italian long and the Italian roaster. So really, these guys are pretty much the same, one and the same. So some people label them a roaster and some people label them Italian long. Now these are going to have 6 to 8 inch fruits. They are thin and wrinkled and curved. Their Scoville scale is 100 to 1,000. So now we're starting to get up into the higher range. They go from green to red and can be harvested at any point. So as I was saying before, once you let them go red, they're going to be hotter. So that's going to be reaching your 1,000 Scoville units. And they're good for frying, roasting, and stuffing. So these, although I don't know if you could stuff those very well if they're just a couple inches wide, but I guess people have done it before. All right, the Santa Fe, that's the next one. Santa Fe Grande. And this one has a conical tapered to a round point, about 5 inches long. This Scoville is 500 to 700. Ages from green to shades of yellow and then orange and then finally bright red. So that makes your dishes nice and colorful. These are sweet with a smoky flavor and can be eaten raw, pickled, grilled to bring out the smokiness. So Santa Fe. All right, this one is an Anaheim pepper and he's kind of small, but he's going to get big. These peppers are 5 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, and curved, have a curved body. Their Scoville units are 500 to 2,500. So again, you leave them on the plant longer, they're green, yellow-green, and sometimes to red, and that's when you're going to get, oh, I'm sorry, they're green, not red. Green to red, and then they have a sweet with a punch, and they're raw, cooked, or stuffed. Okay, then we have the Padron. Padron is a 2 to 4 inch long with a 1 inch wide, has a thin skin. The Scoville unit on this is 500 to 2,500. The fruit ripens green or yellow-green to sometimes red, and these are fried, pickled, and sometimes served with fried eggs and potatoes. That sounded really yummy. When I was doing the research, there was a lot of good recipes for these things online. Next one is Holy Moly. Holy Moly. This one has a 6 to 9 inch long fruit, and it has it's slender, but it has thick walls. And this one is 700 to 800 Scoville. It has green, goes from green to blackish green. It's a fast grower and it produces well. It's a good producer. And this one has a nutty flavor and it pairs well with the mole ingredients for those of you who like to use mole or make mole. And these can be raw, dried, or ground. All right, so now we're going to go into the medium hot peppers. So these are starting to ramp up a little bit. This one is an Ancho. And the fruits, now it's also a poblano. So this one's going to be fun to explain. All right, so Anchos and poblanos go 4 to 5 inches long, 2 inches wide, and they're heart-shaped. They got a little bit of a heart shape to them. They are, Scoville units are 1,000 to 2,000, so they're already starting off at 1,000. Anchos are dried, and when they are dried, let's see, Anchos is the dried, they are the dried version of poblanos. So anchos, when they're dried, are considered. Do you actually dry the anchos? I know this is kind of confusing. The poblanos you usually eat fresh. So the fruits, both of them, they start out, because they're the same, they start out green, then they go to red on the plant. If you pick them green, they are anchos. If you let them go to red, they're poblanos. The poblanos are dried, and ground, or you can rehydrate them, and they're incorporated in spices, soups, and stews. And on your poblanos, the ones that you pick when they're green, and when you buy them in the grocery store, they're green. And those are the ones that you stuff. They're actually kind of fun because you can stuff them, you can fill them with cheese, meats, beans, and dipped in batter and fry. Ooh, yum. So this plant can be very versatile. So you pick them when they're green, and then you eat them raw. You let them go red, and then then you dry them and use them. You could use them later, rehydrate them. And the red ones are supposedly a little bit sweeter. So as they get longer on the plant, they get hotter, and they also get a little sweeter. So interesting information there. Okay, phew. Floral, this one is Floral Gem. Floral Gems get a 2 to 3 inch fruit and 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch wide, medium thick walls. And the Scoville on these is 1,000 to 5,000. So these are starting to get up there. They mature greenish yellow to red to orange. So again, once they get to the red, that's when they're up on their heat. It's a relatively small plant, so this one too you can also put on your patio and actually get some good use out of a small space. They are pickled when they're in their immature stage, and they're known as Torito peppers when they're in the immature stage, and can be used in all color stages, and they're sweet on the sweet side. So you got a little heat with some sweet. All right, so next we have the Hungarian Wax. And a Hungarian Wax has 5 to 6 inch fruits. They are long. They're 1.5 to 2 inches wide. Their Scoville unit is 1,000 to 15,000. So now we're really ramping it up. They're usually harvested when they're yellow, but left on the bush to ripen, they will turn orange, and that's where you're going to get your heat, followed by red when they're fully ripe. Then they can be sliced. You can slice and put in salads. Slice them lengthways or widthways, and put them on salads and make little rings. They're good for pickling, roasting, and stuffing. They're great in marinades, hot sauces, sandwiches, stews, and stir fries. So this one, Hungarian Wax, is a versatile pepper for sure. Okay, now we're going to get into the hot peppers. So now we got our jalapeno. He's a little sad little jalapeno, but he is going to grow. He's already got a flower, so he's looking to give us some fruit already. And this is the one that people say, okay, I know what a jalapeno tastes like. I know how hot it is. So they usually use the jalapeno as their guide as to, wow, this is really hot, or wow, this is not, this is a little milder. So jalapeno they'll get a 2.5 to 3 inch fruit, 1 to 2 inches wide, pod-like with thick walls. Their Scoville units are 2,500 to 8,000. So now you can kind of see where they range. The hotter they can, if you leave them on the bush, they will actually get reddish. And also they get these little wrinkles and cracks in them, brown cracks in them. When they've got those, they're hot. So you kind of get used to what you see as to how hot they're going to be. Again, you can take out the seeds, and you can take out the membrane, and that'll help to kind of mellow it out if you don't want it to be that hot. And also pick it when it's younger. It gains sweetness as they mature. So these can be used in salads, fresh sauces, soups, sandwiches, vegetable medleys. They can be stuffed, roasted, pickled. I mean, what can't you do with the jalapeno? So then we also have La Bamba, which is also, and you can see this one actually has a pepper on it. And this one is a hybrid jalapeno. And these fruits get 2.5 to 3 inches long, so about the same size, same width, a little bit thicker, the 1/4 inch thicker wall. Their Scoville unit says 500 or 5,000, so it seems to be like right in the middle. I didn't see any wavering back and forth. They produce early, as you can see, and they have a hint of sweetness followed by a mild finish with a burst of jalapeno jalapeno heat. And it's ideal for a stuffable pepper, so this is a really good stuffer. Okay, next we've got the Fresno Chili. Now, a lot of these are chili peppers. The fruits on this is 2 to 3 inches long, half an inch wide, so it's thin, slightly curved and tapered to a point. The Scoville on this one is 2,500 to 10,000. So they mature green to red. When they're green, they have a grassy taste, similar to a jalapeno. And when they mature red, their flavor becomes sweet. So as they stay on the plant, a lot of times they get more heat and more sweet. And it also has a hint of smokiness. They're great for hot sauces, and they use them in ceviche. And they can be stuffed and pickled as well. So next we have the hot particle, and you can kind of see there is a little tapered pepper right on there. And these they're elongated and curved, as you can see this little curve right here. And they'll average 5 to 8 inches in length, and they're half an inch wide. They're conical shape, they taper to a point. This Scoville unit is 5,000 to 30,000. So now we're really getting serious. When they ripen, they go dark green to dark red when mature, and of course, that's when they're hottest. They're fresh, thin, and they're thin. Their flesh is thin and it's crisp. And they have a subtle sweet flavor, but the heat lingers onto the palate. Now that's another thing. Some of the heats seem to be on the tips, like your lips and your tongue, and it seems like it stays in your mouth, or it kind of hits the back of your throat. Now I've seen that with Cayenne. Cayenne is kind of that one that hits you in the top, and then the Habanero kind of hits you more in the throat and down in the chest area. It kind of warms you up. So it's kind of interesting how they hit you, the different peppers. So this one, hot Portugal, this one can be used crushed and made to make red chili peppers. Or chili flakes, and they can be used in sauces, salsas, and marinades, and they can be cooked with a lot of different foods. So this one also is a versatile pepper for things you can cook with. All right, now we're going to wrap it up even more to the super hot. This one is a Serrano, and you can see the leaves are a little bit thinner. And the fruits get 2 to 4 inches, about a half an inch wide. They're elongated with a curved appearance, thin walls. The Scoville scale on these one is 10,000, starts at 10,000 and goes all the way up to 23,000. They're typically sold green, but they mature red and provides a sweet flavor. They can be eaten raw, used in salsas or sandwiches, salads, soups, and stews. Okay, one of our worker bees back there. All right, so now we have chili arbol, and this one gets fruits 2 to 3 inches long. They're less than a half an inch wide. The Scoville scale is 15,000 to 30,000, so they're getting up there. They mature to a bright, vibrant red, are now harvested and used at all stages. These peppers are sold fresh, dried, or powdered. These peppers are also dried whole and often used to make chili pepper wreaths. So these are the ones you can actually do crafts and things with. They're pretty cool because they keep their dark red after they're dried. So they're ornamental as well. All right, so now we got the black cobra, and this is one of my favorites. I do have a black cobra at home. I've had him for 3 years now, and he is going to give me another year, and I'm excited about that. These are 2 to 3 inches long. Their Scoville scale starts at 20,000 and goes to 40,000. They're not too bad as long as I've taken the seeds and membrane out. Sometimes I get them if I'm feeling daring, I'll put the seeds in there, but typically I take them out. They change green to jet black, and then they'll go to red, and of course when they're red they're a little more sweet and they're a lot more hot. They use all 3 colors. You can use them at any stage, and when they have all 3 colors on the bush, it kind of looks pretty, so it gives you a pop of color in the garden. They can be dried or ground down. We use them fresh in soups and sauces, any dish that you want to put some legitimate heat into. And it's a good flavor, and this is a forward flavor. This gives me, I can feel it on my lips and my tongue. It's not so much the back heat, I like to call it. All right, so then next we have the Cayenne, which is right in there. And Cayenne is very versatile. These fruits are 2 to 5 inches long, a 1/2 inch wide. The Scoville is 30,000 to 50,000. They mature green to red, bright red. And this is what they use in their pepper mix in the pizza parlors and stuff like that. Your red pepper shakers. And they are also sold as cayenne pepper, so they grind them even finer, and that's your cayenne pepper that you get in your little herb containers or your spice containers. So you can use them for any kind. And again, that's a forward heat. Now we also have a golden cayenne, and you can see this one has got peppers already on it, and they actually reach a little bit bigger. These are 4 to 6 inches long, 1/2 inch wide, tapered with a slight twist, and you can see that. This Scoville is the same as their red brothers. They're 30 to 50,000. They mature from green to a bright yellow, golden yellow, with a smoother skin, fewer wrinkles than the cayenne, the red cayenne. And these are used in your Creole and your Cajun and Southern cooking. So they can be roasted, used in sauces, hot sauces, and jellies. Can be dried and ground and made into an attractive golden chili pepper powder. Kind of cool. So then we have good old Tabasco, and I'm sure you all recognize the name, but from the Tabasco sauce, and this is the one they use for the famous Tabasco sauce. The interesting thing about these chilies, which are it's one of the few that actually, when you cut it, it has juice inside. The rest of the peppers are all dry. The Tabasco is actually juicy inside, and there's really an interesting history on it. I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to take the time, but you can certainly Google it. There is an interesting history. They do make Tabasco in the United States, but they do import a lot of those chilies because they used to be growing them in Louisiana, and Katrina, I think, took that out. So they're still there, but they're having to get it from other sources. But again, check that source because I'm not positive. So this is again what they use for Tabasco hot sauce. They start yellow and they ripen to an orange hue and then a red, and obviously as they get redder they get hotter. Okay, so this one is Super Kai, K-H-I, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, K-H-I chili. These fruits get 2 to 3 inches long. They're thin. The Scoville on these are 40,000 to 50,000. They age from green to a ruby red, taking on shades of orange in between, so they're kind of pretty on the plant. It's used for ornamental purposes as well as culinary. It's a highly spiced, they use these in highly spiced Thai dishes and Asian dishes, so you know how hot those can get. And they can be pickled, dried, crushed to create their own unique version of crushed red pepper flakes. So there you go. Okay, so now we have, this one is called Basket of Fire, and as you can see, it is really small and dense, lots of little branches. They use this one as an ornamental pepper. So when you come into the nurseries and you see those pretty little pepper plants that have got all different colors of peppers on them, and they're little bitty peppers, this is one of those that they use. And even though it says it's ornamental, they are edible. So this one has a Scoville of 80,000, so it's up there. And the plant only gets a couple feet tall. So again, this is a nice one that you can put on your patio, and it gives you pretty leaves, pretty flowers, and pretty fruits as well, and you can eat them. So it's awesome. All right, so now we're coming into the insanely hot. I don't know why anybody would even think about eating these. Well, the first ones are not too bad because I've eaten these first ones, but some of these other ones are crazy. So I'm going to let you do your own research on how you would use these. One thing you have to remember is when you're dealing with peppers, you need to, if you're sensitive, you need to put gloves on. And these ones here definitely would be the ones you might want to use gloves, or you try not to touch them, and definitely don't touch them and touch your face, your eyes, your nose, any place on your body that is tender. Do not touch with pepper on your hand, because you will be a sorry Charlie. These things are not messing around. These are hot. So that being said, be careful. There's been times when I use, because I do the chocolate habanero, and I'm kind of used to them, so they don't seem to bother. My hands are pretty thick because I do a lot of work in the garden. But if you're tender fingers, please use gloves. And when I'm wiping off the cutting board with the hot water, just the smoke, it gets into the air and it chokes you up. So these are hot. I'm not kidding. Okay, so that being said, we're going to start with the Scotch Bonnet Orange. And this one starts at 100,000 to 300,000 Scoville units. The fruits are 2 inches round. They're shaped kind of like a small pumpkin. They're orange when ripe, and they have a smoky, fruity flavor. Now, I don't know how people can taste these to see that they have a smoky, fruity flavor, but I'll take their word for it. Okay, then we have just a regular habanero, and for me, it's not that bad. I guess I've gotten used to it. This one, actually, the Scoville unit is 300,000 to, 350,000. It's pod-like in shape, 2 to 3 inches long, ripens greenish to orange, and it has a fruity tropical flavor. Then we have the Caribbean Red. This one, the habanero, it's a habanero, and when it ripens red. The other one's orange. This one ripens red. This is a 300,000 to 475,000 on the Scoville scale. And it's a lantern shape. Its flavor is citrusy, smoky, and sweet. So then we have my favorite, the chocolate habanero. And this one, I have my plant grew about 4 or 5 feet tall. It is going on its 4th year, but he's not a happy camper, so I'm probably going to lose him this year. I'm going to have to plant some new ones. But he went for 3 years for me. They actually drop their leaves in the winter, and as long as it doesn't freeze, I shelter them if it does get down to a frost or getting close to a frost. And I've had them stick around. This last year I got hundreds of fruits off of them. So, and I was giving them to everybody. They've got a nice, rich, smoky flavor. If you handle them properly and you cook, if you just use a half of one in a big old batch of chili, if you can't handle the heat, you don't have to use the whole thing. So there are ways to use it. It has a really good flavor, really good smoked flavor, and I would say it's on the sweet side. And they look like chocolates. It's so cute. Anyway, all right, now it's the insanely hot. I would not even think about using these ever in my whole life, but there are people who do. We have the Scorpion Butch Tea. Now the Scorpion Butch Tea starts at 800,000 and goes to 1,463,700. Really? Okay. 1 to 2 inches long. They're bulbous. They're pockmarked with a stinger-like tail. So if you see the picture, well, hopefully we'll have pictures of these on here so you can see them. They look nasty. Sweet and fruity flavor. If you can not burn the top of your tongue off. Anyway, okay, next. The ghost pepper. Ghost pepper is 800,000 to 1,041,427. So it's not quite as hot on the top end of the Butch Tea, but it's up there. 2 to 3 inches long. It's wrinkled, pockmarked, lantern-shaped, sweet, fruity with an earthy flavor. God bless those of you who can taste that. Okay, now we have, last but not least, the big mamba jamba that we carry here at Green Thumb is the Carolina Reaper. Okay, this one starts 1,400,000 to 2,200,000, 1.5 to 2 inches long, bulbous pockmarked with a stinger-like tail, appropriately, sweet and fruity flavor if you can taste it after passing out. Anyway, there you go. So, most peppers like to be in the full sun at least 5 hours. They could take a morning sun or a late afternoon sun. And actually I've noticed that my hotter peppers do a little bit better when it's not so hot. So I have them in the morning sun, keeping them out of the heat, and the later day, the midday sun. Late afternoon sun would be fine as well. They want to be soaked well and allowed to dry out between waterings. And I've actually put mine in tomato cages to keep them from falling over when they get fruit. Kind of keeps them stable. So a regular potting soil in the ground, you can use a regular planter, potting soil in pots, and a regular planter's mix in the ground, and a regular vegetable fertilizer will work just fine for these guys. So I hope this was informative and you'll be able to enjoy this information. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button. If you have not subscribed, please do so, and hit the bell to remind you when we get new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.